Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. You know, some cars are more than just cars, right? They become these icons, these symbols of, well, their time.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what we're diving into today with the Citroen DS.
Well, fantastic choice.
We're going way deeper than just its stylish reputation, though.
Okay.
Because you've sent over some seriously fascinating stuff on this car.
Oh, really? Like what, huh?
Did you know this thing almost bankrupted Citroen?
No way! I didn't realize it was that close to a disaster.
It's true. And get this, some even call it the car of the century.
Wow. Okay, you've got my attention. So where do we even begin with a story like that?
Well, it all starts in Paris, 1955, at the motor show.
Ah, the heart of chic.
Picture it. Crowds buzzing, that anticipation in the air. And suddenly, Citroen unveils this spaceship of a car, the DS.
I bet that turned some heads.
Oh, you better believe it. People were floored. Our sources describe it as an apparition, a bomb. People were fascinated, stupefied. It was like nothing they'd ever seen before.
It's incredible, isn't it, how a car can evoke that kind of reaction? It really speaks to the power of design, of innovation.
Absolutely. And the team behind the DS, they weren't just building a car, they wanted to revolutionize the whole industry.
Oh, tell me more about that.
They called it a vehicle for large distribution, a VGD.
VGD, catchy.
Right. But the goal was huge, to make a car that was both groundbreaking and affordable for everyday people.
That's ambitious, to say the least, mixing high-tech with mass production. Who were the brains behind this operation?
Well, you had Pierre Berco leading the charge, the head of Citroën at the time. And then you've got these incredible engineers, André Lefebvre and Paul Maget, and of course the legendary designer Flaminio Bertone.
Wow, what a lineup. So they were really swinging for the fences with this one.
Oh, totally. And they packed it with innovations that were practically unheard of in 1955. I mean, hydropneumatic suspension.
Hydropneumatic suspension. Come on, break that down for me.
Okay, so it uses fluid and gas to create this unbelievably smooth ride. Imagine gliding on air.
Okay, I'm picturing it. That's pretty wild for the 50s. What else did they have up their sleeve?
Disc brakes.
No drum brakes. That was pretty cutting edge for the time, wasn't it?
Exactly. And to top it off, a single spoke steering wheel. But it wasn't just for looks. It was designed for safety in a crash.
They were really thinking ahead. So they had the vision, the team, the technology. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, that's the thing about innovation, isn't it? It doesn't always go according to plan.
You're telling me. And with the DS.
They rushed production to meet the huge demand, and there were, let's just say, a few technical difficulties.
Gremlins in the gears. What kind of difficulties?
For one, the mechanics weren't trained to handle this radical new technology. Especially that red hydraulic fluid, the LHS.
LHS.
Yeah, it turned out to be a real troublemaker, leaking everywhere.
Oh, that red fluid. I can only imagine the headaches that caused. But hey, at least it made for some colorful stories, right?
Right. But you know what's amazing? Citroen, they didn't just throw in the towel. They tackled those problems head on.
That's the spirit. So what did they do?
They were constantly refining the car. I mean, we're talking almost daily tweaks and changes, according to some sources.
Wow, talk about dedicated.
Right. And eventually they swapped that troublesome LHS fluid for a more stable LHM, a green fluid this time.
Okay, so no more mechanics looking like they had a wrestling match with a fire hydrant.
Exactly. And on top of all that, they debuted the Palace trim in 1964. Really gave the DS that luxury feel.
Smart move. They really leaned into the car's strengths.
And that's where the DS really took off. It became a symbol of France's comeback after the war. The Trente Glorieuses, that time of economic boom. The DS embodied that whole spirit, French ingenuity, style, technology. It was a statement.
Totally. It was like driving a piece of the future. But didn't I hear something about this car saving a life, or am I mixing things up?
You're right on the money. Remember those early hiccups with the technology?
Oh.
Well, some say those very features might have saved General de Gaulle's life.
No way. Seriously. The assassination attempt.
De Gaulle's being driven through Paris, and bam, the car comes under fire.
That's intense. What happened?
The attackers actually shot out 2 of the DS's tires.
Oh, man. That's it. Game over for most cars?
Not for the DS.
Wait, really? How'd they pull out of that?
With that hydropneumatic suspension we talked about, it saved the day. Even with 2 flat tires, the car was stable as can be at high speed.
You're kidding. So the driver was able to?
Floor it.
Yeah.
Got him out of there. The driver kept his cool and sped away.
Wow. They don't make them like that anymore.
Talk about a testament to innovative design. What some saw as flaws ended up being life-saving.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the things that make us nervous, those unconventional ideas, they can turn out to be game changers. But the DS's impact, it wasn't just about the tech, right? It had this cultural impact too.
You nailed it. It wasn't just a car, it was a phenomenon.
Exactly. And you know who picked up on that? Roland Barthes.
The philosopher.
The one and only. He actually compared the DS to Gothic cathedrals. Can you believe that?
Gothic cathedral. Now that's a comparison I wouldn't have seen coming. What was his thinking there?
Well, in his book Mythologies, he argued that both the DS and these incredible cathedrals, they were products of passion, of pushing boundaries, just this drive to create something amazing. He saw them both as objects of awe.
Wow. So we've got this car. It's a technological wonder. It's got this cultural staying power. But how did it do long term? Did it keep that iconic status?
Well, the DS definitely left its mark on automotive history, that's for sure. It had an incredible 20-year production run, over 1.3 million units sold, and even today, people collect them like crazy.
That's wild. Over 1 million. And to think, it all started with that head-turning debut in Paris.
Yeah.
So we've got this car, this technological marvel, that's also a cultural touchstone. But how did it fare in the long run? Did it manage to maintain that iconic status?
Well, the DS definitely left its mark on automotive history, and even today, it remains a highly sought-after collector's item. You see it popping up in movies all the time.
It's true. And you know what always gets me? That high-drop pneumatic suspension. I bet back in the day, it felt like you were driving into the future.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of the future, it even had a cameo in Back to the Future 2 as a futuristic taxi. And who could forget its role in classics like Brazil? The DS definitely knew how to make an entrance.
It did. But it wasn't just Europe that felt the allure of the DS. Didn't Citroen try their luck with the U.S. market as well?
They did, and that's where things get a little interesting. While Americans appreciated the car's uniqueness and innovation, the DS faced a bit of an uphill battle. It lacked some features American consumers expected in a luxury car, especially in terms of size and power.
You're right. Automatic transmissions and those big American V8 engines were all the rage back then. So how did the DS measure up?
Well, the DS came equipped with a 4-cylinder engine, which, while technologically advanced, couldn't quite match the raw power of a V8. And the styling, while considered avant-garde in Europe, was perhaps a bit too unconventional for American tastes at the time.
It's amazing how something so celebrated in one part of the world can be received so differently in another. It shows how culture plays a role in shaping our tastes, doesn't it? But even with those challenges, the DS still found its niche in the U.S.
Absolutely. It appealed to a certain type of driver, one who valued innovation and unique design over pure power. In the end, Citroen sold a respectable 38,000 units in the U.S., which isn't bad, considering the difference in automotive preferences.
Not bad at all. So what's the takeaway from the Citroen DS story? It's a story of ambition, innovation, and a bit of a roller coaster ride, from those early technical hiccups to its rise as a cultural icon.
It really is. The DS reminds us that pushing boundaries and challenging norms often comes with its share of obstacles. But it's that willingness to innovate, to refine, and to never give up on a vision that leads to something truly extraordinary.
It makes you wonder, could a car like the DS, with its bold, unconventional design, achieve that same level of success in today's market?
What would it take to capture the public's imagination in such a profound way again? Perhaps a combination of groundbreaking technology, sustainable practices, and a design that truly pushes the boundaries of what we think a car can be.
Now that's an exciting thought. Well, I think it's safe to say we've only scratched the surface of the Citroen DS story. From near disaster at its debut to becoming a cultural icon, the DS proves that real innovation often comes with bumps in the road. Or should we say, leaks in the hydraulic lines.
Indeed, and it's those bumps and leaks that make the journey all the more interesting.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep those gears turning.